Welcome to this week's live broadcast of the K&M Showcast here today. Like always, we will have three topics that we will discuss today. First topic that we will discuss will be the no-hitter of Sean Manaea here this past week and the controversy that surrounds it. The second topic we will discuss is Mike and I's Player of the Month predictions. And the last thing we'll cover is we'll take your questions this evening. We do have one question that Eric asked us about some event ideas. If we have time, we will take one or two more questions beyond that. But as always, I'd like to first get to on this date in history. On this date in history, in 1956, AL umpire Frank Umont, who was previously, before he became an umpire, he was a NFL tackle for the New York Giants for 5 years. But then he became an umpire 2 years later. But Frank Umont is the first to wear glasses in a regular season game when he officiated a contest between Detroit and Kansas City. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I wish other umpires would take a little cue from Frank back from 1956 and wear some glasses as well, so that way maybe they can make some better calls here in the future. I can think of guys maybe like Country Joe West and things of that sort. What do you think, Mike? What do you think about some of those umpires?
I definitely think it's a great idea. First thing that comes to my mind is the perfect game that wasn't a perfect game a few years back. Was
Right,
it
with
Jim Joyce?
Jim Joyce and
Armando
Armando.
Galarraga?
Yep, definitely.
Probably
So
one of the worst calls I've ever seen happen live. I don't know how you missed that one. So
right.
maybe glasses would be a good thing for all umpires to wear.
Yeah, I think so. So I thought that was kind of unique. 1956, Frank Umont became the first umpire to ever wear glasses. But number one, speaking about umpires, is the no hitter by Sean Manaea and the controversy that surrounds it with a couple of the calls that people have argued against, whether there should have been two hits, whether the umpires made a good decision, bad decision. First, let's go with the fly ball that the shortstop there missed out in the outfield there. Tough catch. Ball does hit him kind of in the palm of the glove there. No hit. Hit. What do you think there, Mike?
I mean, I think that was the right call. A lot of people say that they don't think it was an error because it wasn't a routine play, and I mean, I agree, it wasn't very routine. But the ball kind of hung up in the air. Simeon got under it, and I mean, he had the ball in his glove. He had his glove closed, just didn't close it tight enough, and it rolled off the heel, kicked off the heel and fell out of his glove. I kind of concede a slight argument for the hit just because of how it wasn't routine. But I mean, they definitely don't always call hits on balls that are routine, so they're usually called errors too. So I don't think there's that much going on there. I personally didn't think it was a hit, but I mean, I guess Red Sox fans would probably disagree with me.
Yeah, I agree with you there as well. I mean, should we just call everything that's not, basically hit directly to where they're standing and in a glove, you know, a hit? If it's not, hit to their left or right and they have to move, is it a hit? Um,
Exactly.
yeah, I feel
And
like these
to
guys
be
are professionals.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, I don't know if anybody watched, but I think it was on Sunday, the Cubs and Rockies were playing, and Jason Hayward was out in right field, and it was like early day game, so super bright sunny sky, and Hayward had a fly ball with two outs come right to him, would have ended the inning, no runs scored, and he lost the ball because of the sun, and instead of being charged an error, it was ruled a hit. Again, not one of those things that was very routine, but in my opinion, it should have been an error because it was. I mean, the sun's in every baseball game. Like the fielders can't help that, and I think that despite the sun, he still should have been able to make the catch.
Right. Yeah, definitely agree with you there. The second controversy around that game is whether Benintendi went on the baseline or not.
I think that was pretty clear as day, but some people don't think so, I guess. So, I mean, I don't really know how you can argue that one. The rules there, it's pretty cut and dry. It says base runner has to stay within the certain like lane. If you watch the replay, no matter how fast or slow you watch it, you can pretty clearly see Benintendi deviate to the right side of the baseline to avoid the tag. I mean, I really don't see the argument on that one. If you do, please enlighten me. But I don't see it.
Yeah, I agree with you there too. I think the only fans that would probably disagree is probably the Red Sox fans, which is typical Homer thing there. But you brought up the Jim Joyce situation there earlier, a couple minutes ago. As an
Yeah,
umpire, I don't want to be the guy who takes away a no hitter. I mean, do you want if that was the only hit in the game? Now, granted, we're talking about a no hitter between a no hitter and a perfect game, but do you want to be that guy who called him safe and ruined his no hitter that he might only get one chance his whole life to get? Me,
yeah, exactly.
that late in the game, I'm not even going to think twice. I'm going to err on the side of the no hitter, and let's make some history in a positive way and not in the negative way. Um, if Jim Joyce calls that play safe at first, or calls that play out at first base, and Galarraga gets the perfect game, we never talk about Jim Joyce probably ever again. But now because he made the error in judgment, now we talk about him forever. It's not how I
Well,
would want to be
and
known.
no, I definitely agree with that. But to kind of piggyback off that, they actually called Benintendi safe. They had to go back and reverse the call to say that he was out. So I mean, the umpire was almost on the wrong side of history. But
Right,
and I agree, you don't want to. I think it plays a part too in an umpire's mind. Like they know what's going on. They're aware. I think that anybody from the umpires to the scorekeepers kind of have it in their mind. And I feel like if they think that like it's close, they're gonna call it on the side of like in favor of the pitcher, kind of like
right,
the error on the hit that Simeon dropped. Like I mean, like I said, that one was probably 60-40 one way or the other. But I think they made the right call, and that was kind of early in the game too. So I don't think really that had much to do with the fact he was throwing a no hitter. I think it was just it's one of those things though that I do think umpires and scorekeepers think about late in games like that in that situation. So
right. Definitely agree with you. Topic number two is player of the month candidates. Our predictions. Like last year, they had player of the month. Um, Remind me, was it four or five players, and then they had a ultimate one that you worked for?
I believe it was three batters, two pitchers, and then one that you worked for, and it was either 3-2 or 4-2. I don't remember which exactly, but I can only remember a couple of pitchers that were player of the month like each month.
Right,
So I think it was just two, unless the end reward card was the pitcher, then obviously it'd been three. But I think like just basic, it's three batters, two pitchers, and then like a card you're grinding towards with those other cards.
right. Well, we'd like to give our predictions here on who we think is deserving and who will be the player of the month for the month of April. I'll go ahead and be a homer here and give my uh, obvious one here. I believe is Garrett Cole. The guy has been on fire this year. He's leading the league in strikeouts. He has 49 strikeouts right now. He's even got more strikeouts than my boy Justin Verlander through the season so far. And we know I'm a homer for Justin Verlander. But Garrett Cole is 2-1, 1.29 ERA. He just been on fire. And as mentioned on the first show there, I think he's going to be going gold here this Friday. And then I think he's going to end up getting himself a player of the month card as well at the end of April here.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that, and I think it's funny you said you're a homer because it starts to sound like you're more of an Astros fan than a Tigers fan.
Yeah, I had to switch my loyalties a little bit there when JV got traded. Huge JV fan. How can you not cheer for Altuve and the rest of the guys there? So yeah, kind of.
Yeah, that's very very true. I'm a fan of Altuve, but I don't think I would go ahead and call myself a Astros fan. At least not right now, considering they won the World Series last year. You don't want to be called a bandwagon or anything.
Yeah,
But no, what's funny about all this though is that my first player is also an Astro. I think another pitcher that will get a Player of the Month card, and I think he's more of a lock to do so than Garrett Cole, is Charlie Morton. Morton, I don't think he's ever really been like a star in most people's eyes. I mean, he's never been an all-star, never been in the discussion for Cy Young. He's always kind of been like a back to the end rotation kind of guy. Last year he went 14-7 with a 3.62 ERA, which was probably his best year in quite some time. But this year, in 4 games, he's 3-0 with a .72 ERA and a .88 WHIP. He also has 33 strikeouts, which is what 15 or 16 fewer than Cole, I
Yes.
believe.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, he's only given up 2 runs in 4 starts, and well, three actually. I think it was 2 earned, one just normal run. But I just think that if they go off of like what player the month is supposed to represent, it's supposed to be a player that stands out that wouldn't be like expected. I mean, they have a hard time sometimes giving the gold cards, live series cards, player of the months because they're expected to perform that well. I mean, I think last year it happened a few times, but I just think Charlie Morton should be a lock for player of the month. I mean, if he's not, I would be completely shocked. I don't think there's any question he has performed far above expectations, especially on an already stacked rotation. I mean, I think you have arguably the best 3 to 4 pitchers in baseball on that staff, depending on how you feel about Dallas Keuchel.
Right. Yeah, Morton, his stats are pretty solid there with the under one ERA and under one WHIP, and definitely with solid strikeouts there. I definitely could see him being on the Player of the Month list there. The next guy that I am going to suggest here is a Player of the Month is a guy who is listed as a bronze at the moment in Diamond Dynasty here, and that is Jed Lowry. Jed Lowry, he's a guy that we've seen that he has had talent in the past, but he's always seems to be injury prone and have problems like that. But he's been very solid in the month of April here for the Oakland A's. He's batting average is 357. He has 6 homers, 23 RBIs, and up until a couple days ago, he was leading the league in RBIs. Right now, Didi overtook him with 25, but Lowry's still sitting third at 23. And Jed Lowry, it seems like they like to pick out a guy that might be a bronze or a silver type player that they're not a gold or diamond, and SDS doesn't plan on really making them a gold or diamond for the year, but they like to acknowledge those guys sometimes in the Player of the Month. And I can see Jed Lowry being one of those guys that he's a lower rated guy. I think he could possibly get boosted to a silver here Friday, possibly. I think Jed Lowry is a deserving guy for a Player of the Month card as well.
Definitely, I can see him getting one of the golds that everybody's going to pull and be very disappointed in. I did that every time there's a player of the month pack last year, and I ponied up, paid 20K. I always pulled the gold, never pulled a diamond.
Yeah, I always
Um,
pulled the guy that was only worth about 5 grand.
yeah, be so mad. You're like, why'd I do that? I'm not gonna do that ever again. Next month, do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
My second guy, it's gonna kind of come off of a little bit of recency bias, and I've also mentioned this in I think our first podcast in our upgrade predictions about Sean Manaea. Um,
Yes.
not just because of the no hitter, but I mean the kid's really good. Also, only 26. He's 3-2 this year, but he's only given up 5 runs, so it seems to be more of a lack of support from the Oakland offense, which shouldn't be too much of a surprise.
Right.
But he has a 1.23 ERA and a .6 WHIP, so
Wow.
even lower than Morton's. 5 earned runs, 4 home runs, which means that I think he's probably given up 4 solo home runs and then another, or maybe 3 solos and a 2 run shot. But yeah, the only thing against him this month is really those home runs, and I just think that with the no hitter, being a player for the Athletics, who are kind of the bottom feeders out in the AL West, I think that the kid deserves one. He's shown flashes of brilliance in the past. Last year, I only went 12-10, but again, he played for the Athletics. It's kind of hard to have a great record. Um, I think that he'll not only get upgraded this Friday to a silver, I also think that he will get a Player of the Month card when they come out in the next couple of weeks. He might not, he probably won't get a diamond. He might get a gold. If he doesn't get one, I wouldn't be completely shocked just because if they upgrade him, kind of like you were saying, they probably won't give him one. But at the same time, like I said, the player of the month really is about somebody who stands out and that you're not really expecting much from. And I think Monet is one of those guys. I've loved the kid since he was in the minor leagues. I've watched him in AAA. I definitely think he has what it takes to be an ace one day, especially because I don't know how many of you guys know, but he has ADD. And those of you that know what ADD is, it's hard to pay attention to certain things and your mind's always going places. And this year, coming into the season, he finally found a medication that he was able to like take and be able to perform the way he wants to perform and keep his focus on things. So I think that's really good for him too. So it's gonna be fun to watch him all year.
Yeah, you definitely deserve some props. You called him out on the first show, and sure enough, here 2 weeks later, he pitches the first no of the season, and yeah, I think I I can't see how he wouldn't be a lock really for Player of the Month. He's the only one to throw a no hitter so far. I would think that that's what being a Player of the Month is all about, just someone who stands out.
Yep.
My last prediction here is I think a pretty easy one. I think you hit on him the first week there, predicting that Didi would eventually go diamond this year. But he's off to a fast start this year. Didi Gregorius. He's batting 329, 7 homers, 25 RBIs. He's leading the league in RBIs right now. He had that fantastic game there a few weeks ago where he had, I believe, it was 8 RBIs in one game. Um, the guy's just been on fire ever since he became a Yankee, and I think that he will get a Player of the Month card as well. Since he's already a gold, I could see him becoming a diamond Player of the Month. Um, that would be he's another guy that's stood out this month of April, and I think he deserves a Player of the Month card. What's your last prediction?
My last prediction is the card that I think all of the other Player of the Month cards will go towards. So I think this is who I think will be the in-game, I guess you could say, not really in-game player. I mean, for me, if it's who I wanted to be, I think he'll be in-game and he'll never leave my lineup. But I'm a homer, so. But I think the Player of the Month, like, well, I don't know what you would call it, like trophy or card
What
reward,
you work
whatever.
towards?
Yeah, is going to be Javier Baez. Um, the dude is playing on another level offensively right now
Now,
that I
now you're
haven't seen.
speaking with your heart or with your head? Or are you speaking with both? I got to check there since
Uh,
you're a homer.
this is just straight up my head. I think
Oh, okay.
anybody can see this. If you look at what Javi's done in the past 4 years since he got called up, this year so far has been by far better than any month he's had in his career. I mean, we're still got about a week to go in the month. He's already at 7 home runs with 23 RBI, batting 292, and that stands out to me because one, it's Javi, and he is a free swinger. He swings at just about anything you throw to him. Pitchers know that too. But it stands out because a few weeks ago, when the season started, he was batting in the 8 hole. He was producing runs down there. I think a couple weeks ago against the Pirates, he hit 4 home runs in 2 days. But he only had a 230-ish batting average. And over the weekend, last weekend, Joe Madden reintroduced Albert Almora into the starting lineup and put him at leadoff and moved Javi all the way from 8 to 2. And a lot of Cubs fans, myself included, were kind of like skeptical about it because you don't want to move a guy that's hot up in the order whenever pitching is going to be a little bit different to face that early in the game. But Javi kind of took it and ran with it. In just like 5 or 6 days, his batting average has come up almost 60 points. Like I think it was Thursday last week, he was batting 235, and now it's 292.
Wow.
But I just think that with the way he's playing, the 7 home runs, 23 RBI, he would be a hard person to pass on to give a Player of the Month card because this is something that even Cubs fans, and I at least don't think many Cubs fans would have seen this coming from Javi. When we think of our offense, we think KB, Addy, Anthony Rizzo, guys like that, the big power guys. But and Javi was kind of that guy could get a big hit, but you'd also know he'd strike out about 200 times a year. Uh, but no, I think that Javi will definitely be the card that will go that you will end up grinding towards if he does get a Player of the Month card.
I could see it. My vote would be probably grinding towards maybe Didi Gregorius at the moment, but I could definitely see that. I think we did come up with a pretty good list of six. I'll be pretty disappointed if we don't get a few of those right for sure. I see the Joe Blanton love there on the side of the comments there. Joe Blanton's definitely the man. Uh, it's unfortunate that he does have a zero ERA so far this year, and he's
I mean,
just I guess
that's
he's been
player of the month in
untouchable.
my opinion. Exactly. Like, what more could you want from your pitcher? Zero ERA,
Right. I think
no
the thing
walk.
is just batters are afraid to face them. That they have that fear in them.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you can't walk up expecting to get a hit against Joe Blanton. Come on now.
Right. Definitely. Um, yeah. So Eric earlier in the day asked a question for us. Our thoughts on what we think would be some good event ideas coming up. We've had the lefty on lefty event. Last year we had events such as righties versus lefties, lefties versus righties. I think there was even one event where you had like scrub pitchers versus power hitters. Um, but
That event was so much fun.
yes, it was. It was chicks dig the long ball, so it's always fun. So do you have any, maybe new event ideas that maybe, the show should incorporate this year?
Um, I will say before I like what's the new idea that I do hope they bring that low like the common pitcher power hitter thing back because that was probably the best event that I played. I mean I guess because you hit a lot of home runs. I just thought it was a ton of fun and it really made 3 inning games worthwhile in my opinion. New event ideas though I don't really see I don't play many event games. I'm just not super into them unless like the in-game card's worth it. And in my opinion, the two cards that were offered for these first two events weren't very special. But I do think it would be kind of cool to have an event where you could only use common players.
Common pitchers and hitters?
Yeah, like no bronze, no silver, no gold, no diamond. You can only use commons all throughout your lineup. And I think that would be a really good way to really test how good you were as a player. Because a lot of these cards have like the quirks and stuff. It's kind of like a crutch. Like some of them have the first pitch quirk, some have the fastball hitter quirks,
Right.
things like that. And there's nothing wrong with them at all. Like don't get me wrong. I think if you had two people playing and both of them had the same type of lineup, like just being straight commons, you would really be able to see how good you truly were at the game.
That would make a homer definitely worthwhile. Or you'd feel pretty good about yourself if you hit a homer with a common card like that. Yeah, that's an
Exactly.
interesting idea.
Those small PCIs, low power guys. I just think it'd be a ton of fun. Maybe not for like 6 inning games, and maybe not like a super long grind because I mean after a while you get bored of using commons. But I think for like maybe I think last year when they did the power the moonshot event, it was 3 days, lasted like a weekend in between the two All Star events.
Right.
And I think that would be a good little like weekend event to have start on Friday, end on like Monday, and just have to get like 20 wins to get a card that's got I don't know somebody like that Chris Davis that they had last year that you could get. It was just a big power guy. Just kind of find a card that would be worthwhile to give people that were using an all common lineup.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. The idea that kind of pops in my head is some people they don't like to use the flashback players. Some people, they figure it's MLB The Show 18. You should be using current players. Myself, I feel like if I want to see a current player, I can, turn on the game anytime and watch a game and see the current players. Me, I kind of like using the legends because you don't get to watch them anymore. It's kind of just my thing, I guess. So I think it'd be kind of cool to have flip flop it. 1 week one way, 1 week another way, where you have 1 week you have current pitchers facing all legend lineup, and then the next week you have legend pitchers facing an all current player lineup. It just kind of be like a legends versus current player type theme. That I think it'd be kind of cool. But like I said, I'm a person. I love using the legend players. I think it'd be cool to eventually get uh, the the immortal Babe Ruth, and currently I'd love to have my bullpen stacked with Billy Wagner and Goose Gossage. I just always been a legend player. Those current guys, they may not, they may disagree with me on that, but that'd be my idea of event that I don't think they've ever had before.
Yeah, I mean, I like that idea a lot. I am one of those guys that I don't hate the idea of using legends on my team. Last year I think I had quite a few legends. I like to use like my favorite players in the game today. So like, last year and this year, Chris Bryant was the first time that I got, and he'll never leave my lineup. I even had the 99 David Wright last year, who wasn't a legend, but definitely a flashback. And I used him for a bit, and couldn't get used to him. And I also wanted to put Chris Bryant back in my lineup. Maybe it's because I'm a homer. I don't know. But I think that's a good idea. I think it'd be a lot of fun to see like maybe Babe Ruth against somebody like Clayton Kershaw, something you
Right.
never get to see. So
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of my idea behind it. Is it kind of forces to have those matchups that you would never see in real life type thing ever again. But yeah, it's just my little thing. Like I said, you have to be someone that likes using the legends. Not it's not for everyone. So I do understand that. But we do welcome your questions, guys. Whether it's in the Facebook group, whether it's on the side of the live broadcast here, we are open for questions, ideas. If you do if you are watching us live or take a look at us at the stream afterwards, please hit that subscribe button so that way you never miss a future live broadcast. We will try to do these pretty much every Tuesday. Some topics coming up in the future is always, the market upgrades and downgrades of our predictions. Would like to eventually get on the show here. One of those guys that are really good and made it to the World Series in the ranked seasons. Also, someone who maybe they've played, they don't get into Diamond Dynasty or Road the Show much, but maybe they'd like to do franchise quite a bit. Maybe they do 10, 15, 20 years of franchise. That's something I haven't done. I used to do a lot with my cousin back in the day. We would go 15, 20 years in franchise, whether it was MLB The Show or a Madden and things of that sort. So everyone has different things. That's the great thing about this game is there's so much to this game that I don't know how you can say you don't get your money's worth, basically. Um, have any additions there?
no, I definitely agree with what you just said about there's so much of the game that you definitely always get your money's worth. Never really fails, in my opinion. No matter how crappy the online gameplay can be at times.
Right.
But no, seriously, I think that they've done a really good job as far as content. I think you definitely get more bang for your buck no matter which version of the game that you buy. Um, I definitely agree too that we should get some guys on here that have made World Series this year. I would personally love to talk to somebody from this year that has made World Series in this first ranked seasons with all the issues that have gone on with the PCI and the pitch speeds, and just kind of see how it was for them to grind that high. Because I know some guys it took 70, 80 games to get up there, and that's a lot of games to play in what 6 weeks,
Yeah, that's dedication right
maybe
there.
5 weeks, especially with like I said with the way that hitting's been this year so far. So definitely would like to hear that. And I also don't really play much franchise, so that I think that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, any time you guys have questions, leave them in the comments. You can hit us up on Facebook, and we'll try to incorporate them into any show that we can. Yeah, so I don't really have much else to add on top of that.
Yep. Well, thanks for tuning in this evening there, guys, and thanks for the question there, Eric. And we will look forward to seeing you guys back next week. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Have a good evening, guys.
See y'all.